Beloved one, before you continue searching for another answer outside yourself, become still, because the truth you have been seeking has already begun to awaken within you, and the reason you have felt so uncertain is not because you have lost your way, but because the old answers are no longer sufficient for the soul you are becoming. You have asked for clarity. You have asked the heavens to reveal what comes next. You have prayed for a sign strong enough to remove every doubt from your heart. You have waited for someone, something, or some unmistakable event to tell you that you are finally moving in the right direction. Yet we come to you now with a deeper truth: clarity does not always arrive as an answer, sometimes clarity arrives as the disappearance of the need to ask the question. There was a time when you needed everyone to tell you that you were worthy. There was a time when you needed circumstances to prove that you were loved. There was a time when you needed success before you could believe that your dreams mattered. There was a time when you needed certainty before you were willing to move. But something within you is changing. You are beginning to understand that the deepest form of guidance is not the promise that nothing will go wrong. It is the quiet knowing that whatever happens, you will not abandon yourself. This is the wisdom that has been forming inside you through every experience you once wished you could erase. Beloved one, you have walked through seasons that forced you to question almost everything. There were moments when the life you had carefully built seemed to become unfamiliar. People you trusted revealed sides of themselves you never expected to see. Plans you believed were certain suddenly changed. Doors you thought would remain open closed without explanation. And perhaps the most painful part was that you could not understand why. You looked toward the heavens and wondered, why did you allow this? You wondered whether you had somehow failed your spiritual path. You wondered whether you had misunderstood the signs. You wondered whether your prayers had been heard at all. But now, from the perspective of the soul, you may begin to see something different. Not everything that leaves your life is a punishment. Not everything that breaks apart is a mistake. Not everything that disappoints you is a denial. Some things must end because they cannot accompany you into the consciousness you are entering. You have been trying to carry old identities into a new world, and your soul has been gently, sometimes painfully, asking you to put them down. You cannot carry every expectation, every fear, every old relationship, every outdated belief, and every unfinished conversation into your future. There must be space for the new. And space is often created through release. This is why you may feel that your life has become quieter. You may have fewer people around you. You may find yourself less interested in proving yourself. You may no longer feel compelled to explain every decision. You may be discovering that peace is more precious than being understood. Do not mistake this transformation for loneliness. There is a sacred solitude that arrives when the soul is reorganizing itself. In that solitude, you begin hearing thoughts that were previously drowned out by the noise of expectations. You begin recognizing desires that were buried beneath obligation. You begin remembering dreams you once considered unrealistic. You begin noticing how often you said yes when your entire being was saying no. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, you begin returning to yourself. This return is one of the greatest forms of spiritual awakening. It does not always look mystical. Sometimes it looks like setting a boundary. Sometimes it looks like leaving a conversation without needing the last word. Sometimes it looks like forgiving yourself for something you did when you did not yet know what you know now. Sometimes it looks like waking up one morning and realizing that you no longer hate the person who hurt you because you no longer need their behavior to change in order for you to be free. That is healing. That is wisdom. That is the light entering a place where fear once lived. Beloved one, there is another hidden struggle we wish to speak about, the fear that you have wasted too much time. You look at your life and sometimes compare where you are with where you thought you would be. You remember dreams that never happened, opportunities that passed, relationships that ended, decisions you wish you had made differently. And then the mind whispers, it is too late. But that voice does not know the ways of the soul. There is no sacred expiration date on your purpose. There is no moment when the divine looks at you and says, "You missed your chance forever." Human beings measure time through calendars. The soul measures time through readiness. A seed does not become late because another seed bloomed first. A river does not become a failure because it takes a longer path toward the sea. Your journey has its own rhythm. What you call delay may have been preparation. What you call lost time may have been the years in which you developed the strength, wisdom, compassion, and discernment required for the next chapter. You are not beginning from nothing. You are beginning from everything you have learned. Every year has given you something. Every difficult season has shaped a part of your understanding. Every relationship has shown you something about love. Every disappointment has shown you something about attachment. Every mistake has shown you something about responsibility. Every period of solitude has shown you something about yourself. Nothing has been completely wasted. Even the experiences you would never choose again can become sacred when you stop asking why they happened and begin asking what they taught you. This does not mean you must romanticize pain. Pain is pain. Loss is loss. Betrayal is betrayal. We do not ask you to call darkness beautiful. We ask you to refuse to let darkness become the final author of your story. You are allowed to say, "This hurt me," without saying, "This destroyed me." You are allowed to say, "I lost something," without saying, "I have nothing left." You are allowed to acknowledge that something ended without believing that everything is ending. There is still life beyond the chapter that closed. There is still love beyond the person who left. There is still purpose beyond the opportunity that disappeared. There is still a future beyond the dream that changed. Beloved one, your soul is learning to distinguish between attachment and destiny. This is an important lesson. Sometimes you believe something is meant for you simply because you want it deeply. But desire alone does not determine alignment. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is releasing what you desperately wanted because you finally recognize that it requires you to become someone you no longer wish to be. The divine does not ask you to destroy your peace to prove your devotion. What is truly aligned may challenge you, stretch you, and require courage, but it will not consistently demand that you betray your deepest values. Learn to recognize the difference between expansion and self-abandonment. Expansion may feel frightening because you are growing. Self-abandonment feels frightening because some part of you knows you are leaving yourself behind. Listen to that distinction. Your body often knows before your mind understands. Your heart often recognizes truth before your intellect can explain it. This is why stillness has become so important for you. You cannot hear a whisper while shouting internally. You cannot recognize subtle guidance while constantly demanding immediate certainty. You cannot see the path clearly while trying to control every possible outcome. Stop for a moment. Breathe. Let tomorrow remain tomorrow. Let today be enough. There is a sacred intelligence in the present moment that you have overlooked because you have been living mentally in futures that have not yet happened and pasts that can no longer be changed. Come back. Come back to this breath. Come back to this body. Come back to this moment. The next step will reveal itself when you are ready to take it. You do not need to solve your entire life tonight. You do not need to know what will happen 6 months from now. You do not need to know whether every dream will unfold exactly as imagined. You only need to ask, what is the most truthful step available to me now? Then take it. Perhaps the truthful step is resting. Perhaps it is beginning. Perhaps it is ending. Perhaps it is speaking. Perhaps it is listening. Perhaps it is forgiving. Perhaps it is protecting your peace. There is no universal formula for every soul. Your path is personal. And because it is personal, there will be times when others do not understand it. Do not make the mistake of believing that misunderstanding means you are wrong. Some people can only understand the version of you they were introduced to. When you change, they may feel as though you have become distant. In truth, you may simply be becoming authentic. You are no longer willing to perform a role just because someone expects it. You are no longer willing to silence yourself simply because truth makes others uncomfortable. You are no longer willing to remain in environments that require you to betray your peace. This is not rebellion. This is alignment. Yet remember, beloved one, alignment does not mean becoming harsh. You do not need to attack those who no longer fit your journey. You do not need to prove that they were wrong. You can release with compassion. You can walk away without hatred. You can close a door without slamming it. You can bless what was and still choose something different. This is the maturity of the awakened heart. You do not need enemies to justify your evolution. You simply need honesty. There is a reason you have been drawn toward deeper questions. There is a reason ordinary answers no longer satisfy you. There is a reason you have begun searching for meaning beneath appearances. Your soul is asking for a more conscious relationship with life. You are beginning to understand that spirituality is not about escaping human experience. It is about meeting human experience with greater awareness. It is about recognizing the sacred within ordinary moments. It is about becoming more conscious of your thoughts, your choices, your words, your relationships, and the energy you bring into the lives of others. The awakening you seek is not somewhere far away. It is happening each time you choose truth over convenience, compassion over judgment, courage over fear, and peace over unnecessary conflict. Every conscious choice becomes a small doorway through which greater light can enter your life. Beloved one, you have also been learning something about abundance. Perhaps you have believed that you must struggle endlessly before you are allowed to receive. Perhaps you have unconsciously connected suffering with worthiness. Perhaps you believe that if something comes easily, it cannot be valuable. Release this belief. Life is not required to remain difficult in order to be meaningful. You are allowed to experience ease without suspicion. You are allowed to receive without guilt. You are allowed to prosper without believing that someone else must lose. You are allowed to be happy even when people around you are struggling. Your joy does not betray those who are hurting. Your peace does not invalidate another person's pain. You do not need to remain unhappy to prove that you care. In fact, the more deeply you cultivate peace within yourself, the more capable you become of offering genuine support to others. Your light is not diminished when another person receives theirs. There is enough light. There is enough love. There is enough possibility. Do not live from scarcity when your soul knows abundance. And if abundance has not yet appeared in the form you desire, do not conclude that you are unworthy. Sometimes abundance first arrives as clarity. Sometimes it arrives as freedom. Sometimes it arrives as a person leaving who was draining you. Sometimes it arrives as an idea. Sometimes it arrives as the courage to begin again. Do not limit divine blessings to material appearances. Learn to recognize the many forms in which grace can enter. Beloved one, you may soon find yourself standing before a decision. It may not look important to anyone else, but something within you will know that it matters. Perhaps you will have to choose between what is familiar and what is authentic. Perhaps you will have to choose between keeping someone else's approval and keeping your own peace. Perhaps you will have to choose whether to continue waiting for a situation to change or finally accept what it has shown you. When that moment comes, do not ask only, "What will make me comfortable?" Ask, "What will make me whole?" Comfort and wholeness are not always the same. Comfort may keep you inside the familiar. Wholeness may require you to step into the unknown. You are not being asked to choose suffering. You are being asked to choose integrity. Choose the path on which you can recognize yourself when you look into your own eyes. Choose the decision that allows you to sleep peacefully at night. Choose what you will be proud of even if no one applauds. Choose the truth that remains true even when fear becomes loud. This is how you walk with the light. Not by knowing everything, but by refusing to knowingly betray what your soul has revealed. We are with you in this process. When your mind becomes overwhelmed, return to your breath. When your heart becomes frightened, return to compassion. When your future seems unclear, return to the next step. When your past tries to define you, return to the present. When you feel alone, remember that solitude is not always abandonment. Sometimes it is preparation. Sometimes the divine creates silence around you because the next message cannot be heard through noise. Do not fear the quiet season. Something is being formed there. You may not see it yet, but your consciousness is reorganizing itself. The old beliefs are losing their power. The old fears are being questioned. The old patterns are becoming visible. And what becomes visible can finally be changed. This is why some days may feel emotionally intense. You are not going backward. You are becoming aware. Awareness can initially feel uncomfortable because it removes the ability to pretend. But eventually it becomes freedom. You no longer need to deceive yourself about what is working and what is not. You no longer need to make excuses for what repeatedly hurts you. You no longer need to chase what consistently moves away. You become willing to accept reality without surrendering hope. This is one of the highest forms of wisdom, seeing what is while remaining open to what could be. Beloved one, you are entering that wisdom now. The truth you have been seeking is not a single sentence that will solve every problem. It is a way of seeing. It is the ability to recognize that life can be uncertain without being meaningless. It is the ability to experience loss without losing yourself. It is the ability to love without possession. It is the ability to dream without demanding guarantees. It is the ability to walk forward without needing the entire road illuminated. And perhaps most importantly, it is the ability to trust yourself enough to remain present when answers have not yet arrived. So tonight, before you sleep, place your hand upon your heart and ask quietly, what truth am I ready to accept? Do not force an answer. Do not search for something dramatic. Simply listen. Perhaps the answer will be, it is time to let go. Perhaps, it is time to begin. Perhaps, you are already enough. Perhaps, you are safe to move forward. Perhaps there will be no words at all, only a feeling of peace. Let that be enough. You are learning to recognize a language deeper than words. Beloved one, the road ahead may still contain uncertainty, but you are no longer the person who entered this journey. You have gained wisdom. You have gained discernment. You have gained the courage to question what once controlled you. You have gained the ability to choose differently. And that means your future is not bound to your past. Remember this when fear returns. Your past is a teacher, not a prophecy. Your wounds are chapters, not your identity. Your mistakes are lessons, not your destiny. Your delays are seasons, not a sentence. And your uncertainty is not proof that you are lost. Sometimes uncertainty is the doorway through which a greater possibility enters. Trust the process. Trust your discernment. Trust the quiet wisdom that has survived every storm within you. The light is not asking you to become perfect. It is asking you to become conscious. It is asking you to become honest. It is asking you to become willing to release what no longer belongs and receive what does. You are closer to clarity than you think. You are closer to freedom than you realize. You are closer to yourself than you have ever been. And when you finally understand what this season was teaching you, you will look back and see that the divine was not withholding your path. It was preparing you to walk it with open eyes. The truth was never far away. It was quietly awakening inside you all along. And now, beloved one, it is time to trust what you have begun to remember.